What's up, YouTube? We have a good one for you guys today. Marvel Rivals just dropped the new adjustment patch that's going to be going live tomorrow on January 10th for Season 1, Eternal Nightfall. So real quick, I want to go through all the adjustments so we know exactly what we're getting into with a brand new season. So let's get into it. Official update blog post. We're going to skip this whole summary here and just get straight into the adjustments, starting off with Captain America. Steve will receive some enhanced survivability, allowing more frequent entering and exiting of the combat. Exiting of the combat? That's kind of an interesting sentence. Anyway, first off, I like these little summaries starting off. That way you don't have to read through the whole thing. You can just read that, but we're going to get into it. Listen, the most important thing here is he has a health buff from 650 to 675. That's great. I would have loved to have seen a damage buff here, but I'll take what I can get. He's kind of a sleeper tank. Everybody's noticing it now when Flats made it kind of like mainstream. He's a very good tank. That's fine. And they've made his ultimate a little better, reducing Liberty Rush cooldown from 12 to 10 seconds, reduce the delay time for shield restoration after releasing Living Legend from 3 seconds to 2 seconds. These are all great things. Next up, we have Doctor Strange. Very sad that we're doing any tweaking to him. I think he's perfectly balanced, but let's get into it. We'll be reducing the threat range and increasing the defensive window of the Sorcerer Supreme. Add damage fall off to Maelstrom of Madness and Gamma Maelstrom, starting at 5 meters and reducing to the 70% at 8 meters. Basically, they're saying his little burst AoE that he does, it's not as effective at distance. That's okay. They've pretty much made it to where you have to be on top of whoever you're targeting. When you pop it to deal a massive amount of damage, that's fine. I liked him the way he was. I liked Doctor Strange the way he was. He wasn't broken. He was perfectly balanced. So I'll be honest, I'm a little bummed that they're adjusting him at all. They are slightly decreasing the shield value recovery rate, just meaning his Shield of Sephirim can pop up quicker. That's great. They've decreased that recovery rate by about 10 seconds. So that's fine. Or sorry, 10 points per second. Next up, we have Thor. I'm excited because I'm a Thor main. Thor, the God of Thunder, could use some slightly increased survivability and improve the success rate of his ultimate. They've increased his base health from 500 to 525. That's huge. And they've added immunity to control effects during the God of Thunder, making his ultimate easier to be used, I guess. I've never had a problem with his ult. People that don't like it, it's a skill issue, I promise. His ult is fine. It's just you. I've never had a problem with it. But if they want to make it easier for me to use, that's perfectly cool with me. Next up, we have Hulk. Dr. Banner has been dominant, but some decreased sustained combat capability upon entering the battlefield will bring him more in line with other Vanguards. Pretty shocking that they're going to bring him down, but I guess it makes sense. He is kind of cracked when used by the right players. They're going to reduce the indestructible guard gamma shield value for Hulk from 250 to 200. This is where the Marvel Rivals sweats unfortunately affect the rest of the meta, because most people are not aware of the fact that the Hulk is busted. They just don't. Most people, when they play Hulk, they get fried. Even when using this gamma shield, only in like the sweaty comp is it a problem, right? That's the issue, because now you're going to make him darn near unplayable for the population at large, which is the issue, in my opinion, with adjustments, is that you adjust to try and like satiate the appetites of the elite players, and what you end up doing is isolating more people in quick play. Because let's be honest, probably out of the 500,000 players, maybe 15% take competitive seriously, maybe 25, I don't know, but you're going to appease the 25% and isolate the rest. Interesting. I like it. I still think, by the way, this is fine. It's just, I think they just kind of broke Hulk for casual players, and that's okay with me. I'm a competitive player myself, but I'm curious how that's going to go over. Next up, we have Venom, the most overrated and overhyped tank in all of Marvel Rivals. They're increasing his survivability and the threat of his ultimate. Interesting, because in my last YouTube video, I did like a tier list, and I talked about Venom, and I made him a B tier. I made him B tier. I said he has bad survivability, bad ultimate. I got flamed in my comments. It's funny that the devs thought they should increase survivability and the ult, because I was right. Wahaha. They're increasing symbiotic resilience, bonus health ratio gain per lost health point from 1 to 1.2. That's not massive. And they're increasing the base damage of the Feet of Abyss from 40 to 50. Again, small adjustment, nothing crazy here, but it's going to make him a little more usable and competitive, I guess. I still won't ever pick him up. Now we're moving on to Duelist. Black Panther. We're slightly decreasing T'Challa's combat survivability. That's great. I think that needed to be addressed. They're going to reduce the additional health provided to self after refreshing Vibranium marks. Basically, his own little health bonus he does for himself, they've reduced it. Next up, we have Black Widow. This character severely needed to be reworked, and I honestly don't think they reworked her enough. Natasha was very much in need of optimization when evaluating the release experience of her abilities, as well as a slightly increase to the threat of her ultimate. They've increased the range of the first effect of Edge Dancer from 3 meter radius to 5 meter. They've reduced the time required for Fleetfoot to recover from 0 stamina to full from 12 seconds to 4 seconds. And they've reduced the time required for Electroplasm Explosion to reach maximum power from 1 second to 0.6 seconds. So 0.4 seconds they changed on his ult. This is not enough. They did not address her basic attack, which is her biggest problem. She can't drop squishies that hard. She's still not viable. This is a step in the right direction, but we need to take a bigger leap in order for her to become usable in the current meta. Next up, we have Hawkeye. A lot of Hawkeye mains were very concerned about all the nerfs rumors going around, but rest assured you're okay. The description reads, we will be decreasing the medium long-range damage capability, reducing the threatening combat radius, and slightly improving the close combat resistance for the Avenging Archer. They're going to slightly reduce the spread angle between every 2 blast arrows. What? And they're going to reduce the triggering distance of the passive ability Archer's Focus from 60 meters to 40 meters. Here we go. And they're going to reduce the maximum additional damage of the passive from 80 to 70. This is a step in the right direction to kind of start nerfing Hawkeye. He's still going to one-shot squishies and probably 4-shot tanks. So if you're a Hawkeye main, guess what? Your boy's still viable, and you're going to be fine in Season 1. Next up, Hela. The Goddess of Death has been a menace, and we will slightly be decreasing her combat strength. They've reduced her health from 275 to 250. That is a joke. That's not going to make her any less of a broken character than she already is. I'm sorry. That just does nothing to address her insane damage output. So, oof. Next up, we have Magic. The Queen of Limbo needed an increase to her threat after unleashing her ultimate ability, increasing umbral incursion damage from 115 to 135. I've heard her ultimate is pretty bad, and this seems like it's a step in the right direction. Hopefully that'll help out you Magic mains. We'll see. A nice Baja Blast. Next up, we have Moon Knight. The Hand of Khonshu will receive a slight increase to the threat of his ultimate ability. They're going to increase the number of talons generated by Hand of Khonshu from 10 to 14, and they're going to increase the explosion radius of each talon from 4 to 5 meters. Basically, what this is saying is that Moon Knight's ult, when it's dropping those things out of the sky, they're going to drop faster, and they're going to blow up bigger. So his ultimate just became very, very good. Moving on to Namor. Namor, we're optimizing the throwing field of Namor's eggs. Basically, it's just monsters. They're just going to make it to where he can be more of a skill shot throw and easier to place his little monster spawns. That's pretty cool. As somebody who plays Namor off and on, I'm kind of excited about that. Psylocke will be providing more options for other heroes to counter the Demon Slayer's ult. Now, Dance and Butterfly will check for barriers, Magneto's Bulwark, etc. I don't know what kind of change this will have. I don't think it does anything, in my opinion. Could be wrong. Next up, we have the Punisher. We're slightly increasing the damage capability of Frank's weapons. They will slightly reduce the spread of his Deliverance and Adjudication weapons. Basically, instead of his weapons doing spread damage, they will be a laser. And I think that's going to change the entire landscape of who people are going to run as a duelist, because Frank is already incredibly good, but when you bring down that spread and make it a laser, it's going to be insane. I am willing to bet they're going to have to rework him at some point again, because that's going to be broken. Next up, we have Scarlet Witch. We're increasing Wanda's combat strength when she's facing other duelists or strategists. I could read through these 3 things. Basically, her abilities are a little bit better. She does a little more damage, and they're reducing the percent damage per second on a few of these. So all I'm going to tell you is she's still not somebody you're going to want to be picking up in competitive based on the information in this post. Next up, Storm. The Weather Witch needed an overall increase to her damage capability. We're also optimizing the feel of her left-click projectile and release of experience of her ultimate. Basically, they're going to increase projectile speed on her basic attack. They're increasing the bolt rush damage from 70 to 80. That's pretty cool. And after releasing her ultimate, she's going to have a better extra health bar. So her extra health will no longer vanish instantly, but will instead diminish at a rate of 100 per second. Just means that while she's doing her ult, she's in like an enhanced health state. It's pretty neat, and it takes a while for it to go away. Next up, Squirrel Girl. We're increasing the threat of Doreen and her furry friends and their ultimate ability. Basically, her ult's better. I could read through these 3 sentences here, but it's a waste of time. Her ult's just better. Does better targeting. Next up, Winter Soldier. We'll be adjusting Bucky by decreasing his long-range combat strength and increasing his survivability in medium close-range combat. They increased the bonus health by his bionic hook by 10 points. They've increased the Rosterson's projectile by 5 points, and they've reduced the area damage from 70 to 65 and damage decay from 40 meters from 65% to 60%. So 5% change there. And an increase in base health. That's the big one here. of 250 to 275. He gets 25-point health buff. That's great. That's not a bad adjustment. Sorry, I'm very thirsty. Next up, we have Wolverine, an adjustment I was very excited when I heard about, and I was very much underwhelmed. Logan will receive an increase to basic combat strength, but a slight decrease to the additional survivability after activating Undying Animal. Increase base health from 300 to 350, and then reduce the damage reduction ratio provided by Undying Animal from 50 to 40%. Basically, he has a health buff now by 50 points. That's huge, but his damage reduction ability does 10% less awesomeness. So he's going to get that. He might get more health, but it'll go down quicker now. So that's an interesting change. We'll see how that pans out. That's it for Duelist. I think as far as most of the adjustments go, they're okay. Some of these characters are going to be still needing to be reworked, like Hawkeye and Hela, but for the most part, steps in the right direction. Now let's talk about Strategist. Let's get into Cloak and Dagger. They're reducing her Storm Cloud, her Dagger Storm cooldown from 15 to 12 seconds, and they're going to increase the number of dashes. So her ultimate right now, she does 3 dashes, right? They're making it 4. That's pretty cool, but it doesn't help the fact that a lot of players do not know that they're supposed to stay in her ult. So we'll see how it works. I think it's fine. That's going to be cool. Jeff the Landshark. They've made his ultimate better. That's what this says right here in this statement. They're adjusting its Jeff, and they're making it more optimized. What? And they're increasing his healing, which they needed to do. But I would not have made his ultimate any different. I would have either shrunk the radius of the sphere or made him hold on to characters less long, right? Make it quicker. That way he has less of a chance to just dive off the map every 5 seconds. Next up, we have Luna Snow. They've increased the interval switching period between him healing and damage during the Fate Worlds from 0.1 to 0.5 seconds. Honestly, I don't think this is going to have any effect at all. Their goal was to make her ultimate less healy, but it still does the same thing, so I don't understand that. Next up, we have Mantis. We're making Mantis feel a bit less fleet-footed, reducing her roaming support capability. They're going to reduce her passive movement from 2.5 meters per second to 1.5 meters per second. That's actually okay. I think she's a little too quick. That's a good adjustment. Rocket Raccoon, they're going to enhance his healing. He will now do 10 per second versus the 70 per second. Wait, no, sorry. He will now do 70 heals per second instead of the 60 he was doing. That's decent. That's going to be okay. I like most of these adjustments. I think Captain America needed a damage buff. I think Wolverine just needed a health buff, and that was it. Don't touch him. I wish they would not have touched Doctor Strange. I'm curious how them adjusting Hulk is going to go over. Because, again, I do think that that's just a meta in high rank comp. I don't think the lower rank guys still know how to run Hulk. So we'll see how that goes over time. Lastly, I think Black Widow needed a bigger buff. I think that she's still unusable at this point. You can tell at this point that they're trying to maintain a very competitive game. That's their focus here with this list. If they were trying to appease the mass audience, they would have done a lot of different things, but they are obviously trying to make this a very good competitive game, and I like that direction. I think that's the direction we need to go with this game because I want it to stand the test of time. I want it to be around in 5 or 10 years. So I think they're making the right moves. I think we need to let the casual audience keep enjoying quick play, not understanding the more nuanced things in the game, and that's where competitive comes in. So when you make adjustments like this is all these adjustments are going to be benefiting high skill players only. That's the fact. Like most people who can't run Hulk, so reducing his shield just makes him worse for them. But meanwhile, it makes him more balanced for competitive players. So there's a lot of things here that I think we could get into, but we're going to end it right there. If you guys like this video, this unedited patch notes review, let me know down in the comments below. I'm very curious. My first video like this. I'm a little nervous, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it and learned something. Take it easy, fam. See you in the next one. Peace.